Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to this first and hopefully not last video lecture. I am your instructor. My name is Victor Campos. Pleasure to meet you, sort of. I really hope I get to meet some of you guys during office hours, which are gonna be virtual through Zoom. Um, first of all, I just want to make some things clear. Um, like the video lectures, I do them because I like students to like have a like a face to put in the like to the idea, right? When in online classes. So here I am. And second of all, because video lectures are just so useful in online settings, in order to like get started and know what to do exactly per week, especially in my course, because I don't like if you noticed already, if you check the syllabus, I don't provide a semester long calendar. That is because things change a lot as the semester goes by. And so I would just rather concentrate on completing the task at hand. Therefore, you're always going to be getting a weekly schedule uh, on every Monday. On every Monday, you get access to the folder for that week. And in the weekly schedule, it's when where you can go in and actually look at the things that you have to read and, assignments that are due for the week. So we're working on one thing at a time. And therefore, there is a sequence to things, right? So the way in which you succeed in this course pretty much is by keeping yourself consistent, because it's very writing heavy. The good thing is that there's no exams of any sort, but instead I have creative projects that are pretty much based on different genres of academic essay. So expect to do that. We're gonna be experimenting with a lot of genres and a lot of writing, and mainly trying to find your author's voice. Because again, um, this is not a an English class per se. It is related to English, but the main thing here is rhetoric and composition. So, if you don't know what rhetoric is, it's pretty much the art of persuasion. It's the art of trying to get your point across, or pretty much communicate ideas more like easier, and also more effective, right? And that is something that is crucial when you guys start writing at the academic level of a college or university, since there are certain conventions and certain rules that we have to follow. But it's not only that, it's also the author, the ones that creates the thing, that has to be a strong communicator, pretty much. So we're not here to like better writing or your English level per se. We're here to make you communicate better, to use language better, and to become more versatile when composing. So that is what my class is all about. It's not an English class. We're going to be learning how to communicate. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's get started with this video lecture. And by the way, I apologize if there's like any noise, like voices or yeah, just random noises. I live in a haunted house. No, I'm kidding. There's some work being done in my house, so you're probably gonna hear some of that. Um, but yeah, so oh, before I get started, one very important announcement. So if you already downloaded the syllabus for this class, and by the way, these video lectures that I will be putting out probably every Tuesday, they are for two classes, two online classes, which are pretty much the same. The only real difference is found on your syllabus, which, as a matter of fact, going back to what I was going to say, On Blackboard, if you already access the ones, well, the one syllabus that I put for your Blackboard shell, I changed it. Okay, not a big change. It's a very, very small one. So like I had to like rearrange some things in my schedule, and therefore the hour for the office hours and the day also changed. So for the class that whose CRN ends in seven, no, it's 777, and then the other one is 778. So for the one that is all sevens, you guys are meeting on Tuesdays. Well, if you want, right? Like I think like it's a very important clarification because I think I've received an email about this already, which I will respond to you soon if you're watching this video. Um, those are like office hours out, like extra, like those things are for you to like go and talk to me in case you need any help with assignments, with doubts, concerns, talk about your grades, pretty much anything that you need from me. So that's going to happen for that class on Tuesdays from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Zoom. You guys are going to see a Zoom link in the content page for Blackboard Shell. And for the one that is 778, it's the same time, 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., but on Thursdays. Okay. And again, you will be seeing that Zoom link. Um, and yeah, I think that's like, oh yeah, an extra announcement. I still haven't like finished setting up everything on Blackboard, um, and I have to revise certain things. So like, don't worry if you see anything like weird, any errors. Like if it's like very big errors or anything you notice that you think it's important, I would appreciate if you could let me know through email because like when you like this is a real thing. Like the more you go through your own writing, the more things you miss. So that's why feedback is always important, and that is also something that we're going to be learn how to do in this class. Feedback. Um, oh, and another thing. So I also have classes that are like face to face. Therefore, I use my materials from the in-person classes. Um, so probably, sometimes you might see some things that are like weird, especially in the PowerPoints, where we have like, like free writing activities or discussion-based activities on the slides. Don't worry about those. Like those I do in my in-person classes. And I'm gonna show you an example just now. Also, sometimes the due dates might be, weird. um, there shouldn't be like any issue this semester at the very least because my in-person classes are like at the same time, so the due dates are the same. And since this is an online class, well, my due dates, like I put them like on the same day as those classes. Therefore, the dates that you see on the slides for stuff like that should mostly be correct. However, that's why I heavily emphasize that you only pay attention mostly to the weekly calendar, weekly schedule, I mean, that I provide, at the top of every folder for every week. Okay. So rely on that one because there you can read like what readings are assigned for the week and some of the, what assignments are due that week. Okay. So yeah, I think that's that for I guess clarifications and announcements. Um, so now I am gonna be talking about the syllabus first. Then after I'm gonna start with some lecturing just so that you can get a taste of like my style of teaching and what I expect from you and what you should be working on. So let's get started. Let me try to share my screen. Where is this? Oh, sure. Okay. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, I'm gonna be using, you know what? Let me share the whole screen because I'm gonna have to like move around a lot Yeah, that's good. Okay. My camera might get a little bit laggy because you know, because it's recording and it's charging, it gets like heated up, and also I have like a fucking mic here. So, yeah. Anyway, let us go to this one. Yeah. So this is the syllabus for 777, but it's pretty much the same for 778. The only thing that changes again it's the day for office hours. Okay. So hello again. My name is Victor Manuel Campos. This is my email, bmcampus5 at utep.edu. And as mentioned before, we have office hours through Zoom on Tuesdays, 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Okay, you can access it on the content page or main page of the Blackboard shell. Okay, um, and yeah, so the best way to contact me is absolutely through direct email. Now, what do I mean by this? Please, please do not use Blackbird messages, okay? Like you can use it if you want, but just know that it's gonna take me like very long to like respond to you because I don't like I use Blackboard frequently for like lecturing and teaching in the person, but like it takes me like a little while to like get to those messages because like if you send me a message and I'm not in my classroom, I'm outside or whatever, it takes like quite an effort to like log into to Blackboard. Therefore I'm not gonna be getting back to you like soon. So through email is better because I have it on my phone. I always have it with me and I can quickly reply to you. So please, please, please just download an email application or use yeah, I mean, we all have phones. So like just download like Outlook or Gmail. I think Outlook is the best one and just add your email, like your UTEP email account and then you're set up. Okay. Um, yeah, and so also if you send me emails after 10 p.m., they're gonna be answered the next day. Like I'm also a person. I need to rest. Okay, so just be aware of that. Okay, so you can read the program overview. Like this class is designed by the first year composition program, which I work in. So they pretty much like developed 1301 and 1302 to be like, um, you know, part of the same I guess it's like a one big class pretty much, okay? But all you really need to know is that for 1301, if you go down here to the learning outcomes and the course description, our focus is to like get you used to like writing at the college level, but by attaining your author's voice and becoming versatile in composition in multiple genres, but by looking inward, like through finding your author's voice. And yeah, because knowing yourself, just makes you better just all the way around. Okay. So that's what we're going to be doing, but I am expecting you guys to read that on your own. Now, for the dynamics of the course, we have 5 modules, all of which last approximately 5 weeks. So for the first module, the main, like each module has a major assignment due at the end, which you can like consider like an exam, but it's just a project, right? So every module lasts 3 weeks. Like as the third week like is ending on that Sunday, that's when the major assignment is due. So the first major assignment for module 1 is pretty much creating a newsletter. More information on that as the deadlines approach. Um, then for module 2, you're gonna create or write a letter, but a different type of letter. More on that later. And for module 3, we're going to be taking this letter from module 2 and turning it into something else, like using it to compose in a new genre using the same information. Okay. After that, we're going to be starting, a little bit more of a conventional academic research. with the only difference that on Module 4, we're going to be working on a proposal and an annotated bibliography, which requires you to research and gather sources. But you use this proposal and these sources in order to inform the final major assignment, which is pretty much creating a visual or multimodal argument. More on that later. The only thing is that it's not an essay, okay? So these are the texts that you need for this class. The first one is UTEP's first year composition handbook, 2025 to 2027 edition, okay? This is only available as an ebook through Cortext, so the instructions are on the next page, okay? So yeah, you can only get it through there. Now, Habits of the Creative Mind, you can also get it through Cortext. However, it is also available physically. And this book is really good. Okay, like I usually like I'm a literature person. Okay, like I graduated from literature. This is a good book. Okay, in order for you to like be a more creative mind, as the title says. Okay, so if you can, definitely get it as a physical book. But you know, if you're already on Cortex, you get this one. You know, might as well get that one. It depends on you. Also, if you for any reason cannot find either of these books through Cortex, search them through the ISBN. Okay, that's the code specific to every single book. So if you type that, you're gonna find the exact edition. So again, get the correct edition. For this one is the 2025 and the 2027, and for this one it's the third edition. Okay, so no older editions, please. Now, this is the guide in order for you to like get those books. So again, I expect you to read these on your own, but the only thing you need to know is that you have to use your UTEP credentials in order to get access when creating an account. Okay. So that's that. Email me if you have any questions on it. This is the point distribution system that I have. It because I'm a literature person and I hate math, right? Like I cannot do it. All 5 modules like are worth the same. So all work that we do in module 1 amounts to a total of 200 points out of the total of 1,000. So if you do the math, per module, you're gonna get a maximum of 200 points until you hopefully accumulate over 1,000 points. Okay. Now, for assignments, I only have 3 types of assignments. Okay, so please pay attention to this. Weekly journal entries. Okay, this is the thing that people get confused on the most. So if we go to your shell, let's use this one. This is your weekly journal. Okay, this is the thing in which you go in every single week and you type an entry. Okay, so I am expecting you guys to read these guidelines thoroughly, follow what they say, but pretty much I require you to come back here every single week and write an entry of at least 175 words. Now, it doesn't have to be anything like overtly complicated. Um, it can just be something informal. This is an informal space of communication between you and me. Only I can see what you write here. So this is a space of communication too between you and me. But mostly I am interested in you free writing, you know, and talking about your learning process and writing process, okay? Meaning like how are you doing or like how did you interpret that the ideas of the material for you know the week in which you type an entry. So in all honesty, it can just be whatever. I accept multiple languages. I accept like informal language, whatever that means. More on that later. So just give me something, okay? But I have to warn you, as with everything in this course, I do not allow AI. So whatever you write here, this is it's very easy. This is extremely easy. I just need you to like give me an update on like how you're doing with your learning. That's it. Now, as long as you mention something related to the learning and to the writing process, you can write about anything else. So, for instance, here I have an entry of my own. Like this is like sort of like an example. I usually do it as week one, the date in which I wrote it, and give it like a fun little title, right? So I did this in literally like less than 10 minutes. Like it's no biggie, okay? So I'm just like rambling and stuff like that, switching between languages, whatever, and just manifesting stuff for the semester pretty much. And I also, most of the times I recommend a song. So I will try to like come back here and like create new entries like every week. But the guidelines, they are done here, okay? Like at this point. So please read these guidelines. Something specific about this. This says that it's due on December 6th. That is because that is the date of the last entry that you guys are going to be doing. But that doesn't mean that you can wait until December 6th in order to do all 15 entries. No, I am not going to accept that. Every single week, this journal does not give you a notification of like when you have an entry due. It is your responsibility to come back here before every Sunday and give me an entry. Okay, so at the end, you're gonna end up with 15 entries because we have 15 weeks in the semester. Now, something really, really important so that people don't freak out because this always happens. I like I give you 10 points per entry, and so the total points that you can get is 150. So this journal, I check it sporadically, right? So let's say that I check this journal on week 3. Okay. At that point, you should have 3 entries already submitted. Therefore, those are 30 points. So when I grade it, I'm going to put, 30 points. And when I come back to it, depending on how many more entries you have, let's say I come back right away the next week, I'm going to add 10 more points. So instead of 30, you're going to have 40. However, people freak out because this counts the total of all entries. So it shows up as 30 out of 150. That does not mean you are failing. That means that you have 3 entries at the point of which in which I graded this journal. Okay. And it changes again. So please, I don't panic. I hope I made myself clear, and I cannot stress this enough. Read everything carefully and thoroughly. This is an online course, so more like pretty much all work, it's like you're gonna be doing that. Like the accountability and the responsibility rests on you. And I am making these video lectures in order for you to have something to rely on. Like this is not necessary. It's just me being kind, I guess. No, but like I like doing this so that students like succeed pretty much. But that's the important stuff with the journal. Okay, so let's go back to our syllabus. As I said, that's a total of 150 points for 15 entries, which is 15% of your grade. So those are for the journal entries. Now, for the minor assignments, they are pretty much like mostly going to be taking the form of discussion board assignments. So there's 15 of them, one every week. So in all reality, those are 2 weekly assignments that you have to do. Okay, 1 journal entry and then 1 post and replies in the discussion board. So there's 15 of them. These are worth 20 points, and they add up to 300 points by the end of the semester, or 30% of your grade. Now for major assignments, there's 5 of them. Each is worth 110 points for a total of 550 points, or 55% of your overall grade. So I have to let you know this. Don't get fooled by the small numbers. Okay. Obviously, if you miss a major assignment, you already lose 10%, right? So let's say that's the case. Let's say you missed a major assignment. You already have a B. It's no longer possible to get an A. And then let's say you missed three discussion assignments. That's an extra 60 points. So add 60 to 110, that's 170. And let's say you missed three journal entries, that's another 30 points for a total of 200. And then you have a C, right? So please don't be fooled by the small numbers on the smaller assignments. They add up, and they add up quick before you even notice it. Okay, so make it a priority to complete everything on time. But yeah, that's the structure of the assignments that I'm using for grading. So this is pretty much what I just talked to you about. I want you to write about your learning and writing process and to experiment with your writing. So don't be afraid to do whatever. If you want to include pictures, if you want to include songs, if you want to do whatever, okay? Include your languages, anything, as long as you're talking about what you learned during the week, okay? In around 175 words or more. You might struggle at first if you're not used to writing, but trust me, by the middle of the semester, you're going to be writing way more than 175 words because that's the way free writing works. Okay. So yeah, title it with the week and the day in which you submitted it and give it a title. So this is gonna make for a total of 50 journal entries as discussed before. Always due on Sundays at 11:59 p.m. or rather before 11:59 p.m. Right? Again, the minor assignments are gonna be discussion boards. First thing first, I do not want to see any disrespect and hate speech online. I'm gonna be keeping a close eye, and you know, people have said like bad things before, and I've always responded to it. I've always like addressed the issue because that is something that it's one of my three rules, which I'll talk about in a little while. But that is something that is unacceptable, and it's gonna be like I'm gonna like confront you first and then we'll decide your fate pretty much. But yeah, for discussion boards, you have to do a response or a post rather of 250 words or more most of the time, but it depends on the type of assignment, so sometimes it might be less, sometimes it might be more. Okay, but usually it's 250 words. Please make your writing your own. Like, I'm not looking for perfection here. I'm looking for effort. I'm looking for participation. So I want you guys to try your best. Do not try to fluff up your posts, just to like cover the word count. I just want you to communicate effectively and appealingly with your peers. Okay, because the other requirement is that after you create that post, like responding to the prompt of the discussion board, you reply to two of your peers in around 75 words each. And I want you to communicate as if it was like you talking to someone, like in person. Like, just make it a conversation. Don't be like, oh yeah, I really like what you wrote here because like you're so good. Like, yeah, and I agree. Like that is insipid. Okay, like I'm not looking for that. I'm keep me entertained. Okay, like just try to like talk and engage with what your peer says, like exchange ideas, ask questions. Like, that is way better. Like, those are way better responses than you just simply saying I agree like over and over again. Like I like your peers don't need a hype man. Like just yeah. And the other thing, again, no AI. Okay, do not test my ability to recognize AI. I've read about it. I've written about it, I've researched about it, and more importantly, I'm a literate person. I have done literature for 6 years in school, both undergrad and graduate. I've worked at the Writing Center, and I'm a teacher. And like you guys, like most, I'm a Gen Zer. So it's very easy for me to like recognize it. So please, please, please do your best. Okay. Like again, you're not gonna be like getting shit from me for, not having perfect grammar or not writing something that is intelligent enough. I need to see your participation and your effort. So please do not use AI because also there's consequences. But anyway, your discussion assignments and like the posts and replies, they're due also on Sundays by 11:59 p.m., which as you are noticing, everything is due on Sundays. So yeah. Now, they're gonna be like at the bottom of each folder. So just scroll down, read the prompt and the guidelines, and then get to work. Now, for major module assignments, this is the shortest one, even though these are the biggest ones. Um, these are due again every 3 weeks at the end of the third week. Um, and I provide guidelines way ahead of time so that you know what you're gonna be like working towards on the third week, and so that you don't leave it to the last minute. So next week I am gonna have the guidelines for the first major assignment uploaded there, and I will also explain them in the next video lecture. But yeah, you're gonna get the guidelines in time, so just sit tightly for now. Now for participation, I don't grade it, but I use it. Okay, especially for online courses because there's no way of me like taking attendance. There's also no way for me to like really know if you're like interested in the topic other than reading your assignments and be like, oh yeah, this is not AI slop, so this is someone who's like putting in the effort. However, I take participation in very very much high consideration for dropping students. Okay, because I think it's the next one, but yeah, let's just go and get this out of the way. Participation is used in this course in order to determine if a student is active or not, or if they just don't care about the course and they're just neglecting it. So 1 week of no activity online, it's like you didn't do anything, you didn't even open Blackboard, you didn't turn in anything. Okay, like I'm not gonna grade or like give you extensions unless you requested prior to deadlines. More on that later. However, there's no real repercussion there. Like you're allowed to do it, but again, the grade like stays the same. If you get a 0 for not submitting something, you get a 0. However, if I see that this keeps on going for a second week of inactivity, and this is not my policy, this is like the FYC program's policy. Um, for a second week of inactivity online, your letter grade is going to be lowered by 1 letter. So let's say you're by the end of the semester, you get an A, right? Like you turned in everything, you got all 1,000 points, but you had 2 weeks of inactivity. Well, that is going to be constituting a B, like automatically. Now, if you have 3 weeks of accumulated online inactivity, you will be dropped immediately. Okay. Um, so this is because of this, the FYC class attendance policy. And the one that applies for this class is this one for online courses. So if you want the specifics on that, just read that. Okay. And this is already heating up a little bit. I'm seeing myself getting like laggy on the corner. So yeah, that's for participation. Now, for submitting work, okay, specifically the major assignments. I need the major assignments to be Word files, okay? So no links like Google Docs or like Word Online. I don't need those. I only need Word files. If you don't have Microsoft Office applications like Word installed in your laptop, they are free for you as a UTEP student. Just go to the Technology Support Center website, or like even in person, and just download the programs. They're free. Just use your UTEP credentials pretty much. Um, so also, when you submit major assignments in Microsoft Word files, you have to follow APA and MLA format unless I directed otherwise. Um, I don't think most of you are familiar with like the specifics of these styles, but don't worry about it. I'm gonna teach it to you. Okay. Um, so please submit all of these 5 major assignments again, both in the correct format and as files. Okay, and this is an example of how you can title the file. Late work. So I will not be accepting late work. Okay, it's always a whole mess where like people don't manage their time accordingly, and then they just like ask for extensions like a week after the thing is done. And believe it or not, I've had students who have had the audacity of asking for extensions like months like after a deadline. So no. The only way in which I will accept quote unquote late work is by you getting an extension from me. But in order for you to get that extension, you have to contact me prior to the deadline of the assignment and let me know that you need more time, and we'll work out some accommodations for extra time. Okay. So again, if you don't contact me prior to the deadline of the assignment, I will not accept late work, and I will not give you an extension. Okay. Um, so hopefully we're clear on that. It is your responsibility to be on top of your stuff pretty much. So just keep yourself, out of trouble, manage your time accordingly, and you will be fine. Okay. But yeah, no late work unless, you request it. And again, participation, it's what we talked about earlier about, online inactivity, which is going to be very like pretty much like I'm going to keep a close eye on that so that I make sure that, and there's many things that I can like take notice of, including pieces of writing that tells me, how you're doing or if you're actually doing the work. And yeah, so once again, classroom etiquette and netiquette. I expect you guys to be courteous. I expect you guys to be chill pretty much, and any type of hate speech will not be tolerated. I will first confront you and then refer you to, the Office of Student Conduct, pretty much. So keep yourself out of trouble. I will never give you a reason to like hate me or other students. Hopefully, the other students, like your peers, like don't. But yes, just don't do stupid stuff online. Okay, that is a very serious offense in the college setting. Again, read the specifics for the FYC attendance policy, which again, it's not my policy, it's the program's policy, and therefore I have to follow it for specifically tracking inactivity in online courses. So this is the one that applies for you. So drop. When you get dropped, you don't get failed. Like you just drop. So like you get a W grade, which is withdrawal. Okay. So what does this mean? This means that you don't get penalized for like failing or dropping the course. Whereas if you don't drop, or I don't drop you, and you wait till the end of the semester, well, you get an F, right? So the F does affect your GPA, whereas a W does not. Okay. So as the drop date approaches, hopefully I already have an idea of those who are gonna pass and who are it's not gonna pass. So I am gonna let you know that like, hey, I have to drop you. Like there's no point of you being here anymore. So if you want to avoid that, put in the work. Academic integrity. Again, again, again. First of all, with etiquette, and in this case, netiquette. Be courteous. Don't offend anyone, please, please. But mostly, I am very, very, very serious about AI use, at least in the English classroom, because it doesn't work. Okay. You guys are going to be here for a minimum of 3 or 4 years while trying to complete your assignment. I mean, not your assignment, your career, your degree. So, earn your degree, earn it. I have 2 degrees here sitting in front of me. One is for my bachelor and one for my master of arts. And I can tell you I'm proud of them. Okay. Um, so make it a priority. Once you get that degree and you can put it, somewhere in the corner of your room, you're gonna look at it and be like, yeah, I earned that. Do not use AI to, pretty much replace your own voice. Do not use it to, you know, provide slop. I want to hear what you have in your mind. All of you guys have very valuable experiences, and they're gonna help you tremendously in this RWS classroom. Okay, so AI is considered academic dishonesty for the standards of colleges. Therefore, it is a form of plagiarism. And let me tell you, I do not take lightly to it. I will contact you whenever I suspect or find out that you used AI or, bought a essay or like anything that, is not your own work. I will be confronting you about it. Not in a bad or weird way, right? Just to try to figure out what's going on. But yeah, it's not allowed. You're gonna get a 0 for that. Okay? I'm not gonna like drop you for like doing that unless you like keep doing it, right? That's when it becomes a problem. But please, please do not mess up your credibility. One thing to learn about rhetoric is that credibility is everything. Okay, once I lose credibility in you because you submitted a AI generated text based assignment, um, your credibility is gone. Okay, so don't mess up that credibility. Again, all of you guys, I wholly believe in the potential and the experiences that you bring into this online setting, classroom. Um, so please, please show me what you got. Show me your work. Okay, again, I am mostly looking for effort, not perfection. Which, matter of fact, by the end of this course, you will not be a perfect writer. None of us are. Okay, I have a master's already, and I've been teaching for 3 years, and I still fuck up. It's normal. Okay, but I can tell you that I have found my author's voice. I know that anything that I have to compose, I have confidence in me that I can do it, and I want the same for you. Train your brain muscle. It's a muscle. We have to get cognition here. Writing is not going anywhere anytime soon. So do your own. Okay, let me hear your voice. Use it. It's yours. Hopefully I made that clear. Okay. But anyways, what else do we have to take a look at? Accommodations. If you need accommodations, you need to go to CAS. Yeah, here's their contact info. They're gonna evaluate you, and then they're gonna send me an email with the accommodations that I need to provide you. Okay, so do that. We also have the writing center. Go there in person or through online meetings through Zoom in order to get help with papers that you're doing. Now, they do not write your papers. You have to show up with something of your own already drafted so that they can give you feedback. Okay, you go in, you have a session with a consultant. They read your stuff and then they work with you with, by providing you feedback or like, what do you mean here? Asking for clarity. That's the purpose of the writing center. So no, if you show up there with nothing on your hands, the best they can do is help you outline the plan for when you actually get started writing it. Okay, so I'll probably offer like extra credit opportunities if you attend, but let me think on it. Okay, so these are important numbers that you should always keep, and this is the fall 2026 calendar. On September 7th, there's no classes. Also on November 26th and 27th, that's for Thanksgiving. And yeah, so again, there is no calendar here for the semester because again, we do it 1 week at a time. Um, so yeah, that's the syllabus. Now, let me walk you through Blackboard a little bit. Again, I still have some things that I have to set up, like the banner, right? Some organization over here. First of all, if you're on financial aid, and I will put it in an announcement after I'm done with this lecture, you have to complete this acknowledgement, that you're receiving financial aid, and if you fail or like you fail to like hold up to the standards of financial aid, like it can be taken away. So it's just like a yes or no answer. So if you're on financial aid, complete that. Here is the corrected syllabus. It's already uploaded with like the correct days and day and time in which I hold office hours. This is again your weekly journal. It's always gonna be here. Come back here before every Sunday and submit an entry. Now, if you see here, there's a folder for the first module, and inside it, we have access to week 1. Next week, we're also going to get access to week 3, and then week 3 until we conclude this module. So the first thing that you have to do always is to open up the schedule for the week. In here, you can see the readings that are required and that are going to help you tremendously to complete the assignments for this week, as well as the deadlines for said assignments. Okay, so first thing every Monday, take a look at the schedule. Okay, now these are PowerPoints that I am going to be using for like these lectures, which I am gonna like touch on briefly next, because there's like really nothing much that we can talk about. Um, and again, some things might be weird. They might be adapted for like face-to-face classes. That's why I highly recommend you watch these video lectures so that you know like what to do, like what is relevant to this class or not. But it's pretty self-explanatory. So yeah, those are the PowerPoints, and then at the bottom of each weekly folder, you have your first minor assignment in this case, which is a discussion board. So these are the readings that are gonna help you, compose your post here. Now, you're gonna be tempted to like just copy this and put it online and have like some AI BS, try to draft something from you. Again, it's not my first rodeo. It's very easy to see it. So don't do it. Here's the warning. Okay, don't do it. Don't test me. Okay. So yeah, these readings are like, it's not like, oh, you go into the reading and then you find the answer to these questions. No, no, no. Like these are meant to aid you into making it easier here, because these are not yes or no questions. These are questions that actually require, something out of you, like an actual response. So you don't have to like answer all of them, okay? You just have to use them to like inform the post that you post. In this case, we're trying to like figure out, if you've ever been like, I guess in terms of language, linguistically speaking, like neglected or like you know pretty much like criticized, right? Or like, how do you think your linguistic background affects the way in which you write? So just read like the specifics here, and after you do your 250 word post, you reply to two of your peers, 75 words each, due before the end of Sunday. Okay. So that's pretty much how Blackboard functions. Okay. Um, when we have like samples. Oh, by the way, the link for the video lecture, which I am submitting to like uploading to YouTube, you're gonna find it like between these two. Okay, always. So first we have the schedule, then the video lecture, which is uploaded on Tuesdays, then any supporting materials, and at the end we have the assignments. When we get to week 3, um, you're probably gonna see a discussion assignment. Yeah. For this class, it's 15 assignments. So you're always gonna see this, and then after it, the submission for the major assignment. Okay, every 3 weeks. So read guidelines carefully, and yeah. And again, don't use this, Blackboard messages to contact me. Use your email, like Outlook, right here, right? Um, oh, hopefully it doesn't crash my my recording. Oh God, I didn't think of this. But yeah, just use your favorite application to contact me because I have it on my phone and it's easy for me to reply to you. So yeah, if you have any more questions about the syllabus and Blackboard, please don't hesitate to contact me. Oh, and finally, the Zoom link for office hours is gonna be somewhere here. Okay, always. You're gonna use it either on, like, if you are in the Thursday, well, on Thursday, and then if your office hours are on Tuesday, well, on Tuesday, you click here on the Zoom link that I'm gonna be creating. Okay, I'll send out an announcement when everything is said and done. Okay. Okay. So now, let us go through our first. No, let us go through the PowerPoints. They're really short. There's like really nothing to. Well, no, they are important. Let's stick with that. So again, welcome to Rhetoric and Writing Composition 1301. This is pretty much me, Victor Manuel Campos. Call me whatever you prefer, but I earned my title as Professor Campos, so I really like being called Professor Campos. But I don't mind if you do like Mr. Campos, Victor, Big, whatever. Okay. I am a fronterizo and I'm also bilingual. Fronterizo means borderlander, so this entire thing, El Paso, Ciudad Juarez, is one piece of land. So like, it's not there's an illegal barrier that separates this borderland, but it's always been one land, one people. Anyway, I am also bilingual. I know Spanish as mi primer lenguaje, obviamente, and also English, which I think I'm native now, but depends on how racist the person is. But anyway, I'm also a first generation college student, which means I'm better than my family. Now, they did the impossible for me to become the first in my family to go to college and graduate. And I graduated twice from UTEP. I've been here since 2018. Like, I started off with my bachelor in literature, which ended up changing to a BMS in multidisciplinary studies because there was some issues with like the education minor that they wanted to do some like shady shit. Well, I was just like, let me get out of this and get into the actual thing. Let me go to graduate school and get an MA in English and American Literature, which I earned 2 years ago, which makes me feel a little bit old. Oh, and by the way, I'm 26. Anyway, I have a few publications, one op-ed in Opacity Matters, which I'm not proud of anymore because like I was like considering the potential of AI in the classroom. But now that I'm an actual teacher, and many teachers agree with me, there's no place for it in the classroom. It just simply fries the brains of our students. Like there's no use in it pretty much. But yeah, there's that op-ed. Then I also have a blog, and I was featured in a podcast for El Paso Food Voices, which is a collective created by one of the teachers at the English department at UTEP. Her name is Meredith Abarca. She used to be one of my mentors, at least for a semester. She is a chef, but mainly she is recognized for being a prolific food scholar. So not in the sense of like, oh, cooking, no, being a food scholar, being in that field, it's an actual theoretical field, food studies. We take a look at, well, I say we as if I was in that, like, I know about it, I've composed in the genres for it, but I'm not in that field. Um, they pretty much study the anthropological and social and cultural relationships that people have to food, by studying literature and writing literature that has to do with how food dictates or like reveals things about our society, pretty much. So that was really cool. And I'm also featured in the FYC handbook that you have to buy. Like, I think one or two of my assignments are there. So yay. But yeah, that's me. And this is what I like. I've been like a roller skater since like 6 or 7. God damn it. Um, and I haven't done it in a while, but I really, really enjoy it. Yeah, I also love the color black. And you're probably gonna see my attire like after this, like being just pure black. But I also sing. I love singing, and I love a lot of musical genres, but lately I'm mostly into synth pop, which, if you don't know or not, are not familiar with it, there's a really cool band. Their name is Surfistas del Sistema. They recently came to Ciudad Juarez, and I had dinner with them because I'm important. No, that was amazing. Whatever. Anyway, take a listen to that if you wanna, like, learn. But also listen to my favorite band, La Garfield. They're from Guadalajara. Wonderful, wonderful group. They do like jazz fusion and tropical music, and really, really cool. I am in love, infatuated by the Monster Hunter franchise. Like, not a lot of people play it, but if you have the chance, trust me, trust the word of a professor, you're not gonna get bored. I also love The Last of Us. I even have it like tattooed on my skin, like Ellie's thing, and also like her knife. Um, but there are some problematics, like now that I'm an adult, that I notice, and not in terms of like the storyline, just aspects of its creation and the creator itself and their views. And yeah. Anyway, I am Mexican, so obviously, I love Dragon Ball because it's like pretty much embedded into my bloodstream and my DNA. Like, I was just born, and they were like, I saw Goku, and it's like, yeah, that's the guy. I'm also really into Chainsaw Man. I love Chainsaw Man. I think it's one of the more more important pieces of fiction even in recent years. So definitely watch and read Chainsaw Man. I'm a retired memer. Like, I still like get the memes, like, thank God. But I'm a retired memer, and like, I think it's just like age. Like, I've reached Ankh, and I can no longer feel any joy from like most memes. like like I think, like, on the scale of like being a memer, like, the more nonsensical it gets, the more um meta it gets. So like, I only laugh at like stupid shit now, like, uh, yeah. So anyway, I lie a lot too, but that is because I forget things a lot. So if there's anything ever that I say that I don't fulfill for you guys, please contact me through email, and I am gonna be doing my best to fix it. And yeah. Now, if this were an in-person class, I would like make you suffer and talk to each other. But pretty much, I have this little activity of what is a writer and what is the difference of a writer and an author, right? So I would advise you to, pause this video and take a moment to write about, what you think a writer is and what you think the difference from an author is. Okay, so do that if you want. Okay, let's continue. Hopefully you did the activity. But Pretty much in this activity, we are confronted with a bias, pretty much. Okay. Usually people say that, a writer is just anyone. A writer is someone who writes a story that wants to communicate something and they do it, right? And then when they are faced with the curveball of like, okay, well, then what is an author? People usually respond with things like, oh, an author is published, is someone who is published, is famous, that is way more experienced in writing, that holds more knowledge, and stuff of the sort, right? So the purpose of this activity is for you to like start seeing what bias is in terms of authorship, okay? Because being an author, right, or being considered by a large group of people as an author gives you power, okay? So what happens when someone has power and doesn't know how to wield it, right? If an author uses their fame for ill intent, because they have the status of being an author, they can manipulate the truth. And people will believe it, right? And authorship, like, it's not only like specifically for writing. It's pretty much like the role of a type of leader, right? So that is how bias works. So what happens when we give like all power to like this idea of the perfect and prolific author? Well, the writer, gets left behind because remember, and you might have probably had this idea that a writer is anyone, and yes, anyone is a writer, but in the process of like giving so much praise and power to the author, we neglect the writer, who is us. Okay, so let us take a look at why this is wrong, and what this implies for the rest of the course and for yourself. This is the definition of author by my ex boss, who is now my coworker because she was demoted. Yeah, it's so disturbing. Anyway, she writes in the FYC handbook for this class. Literally speaking, an author is someone who writes with intention or has a desire to communicate. What can we learn from this? Perhaps that authors use language to express emotions and ideas. Yeah, like we already know that. However, Rosenberg, my boss, Lauren Rosenberg, she says that this could also teach us that an author is anyone who exercises the power of language. So it's not only about like the definition of like wanting to communicate or like express feelings. No, it's the power to exercise language. So being an author, everyone is an author. A writer, an author, a composer. It's the same thing. Okay? I'll give you an example. Did you know that one of the biggest and most recognized authors in ever, like Shakespeare, was never considered or published as an author during his time? He wasn't. You know why? First of all, because, during those times, people only got, because Shakespeare was mostly a playwright. Okay. So he wrote plays, he had characters, he had actors, actresses, maybe. Like, I don't remember if in England, like during those times, like, like women were allowed on stage. They were certainly already on stage in Italy, I believe. But yeah, not in, in England, I think. But anyway, every actor only got a little piece of paper with their parts, to like act it out, because paper was expensive and rare. Okay, and Shakespeare wrote a lot, so it's not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like make copies for everything and like have books like only like very high standing people. Like eventually Shakespeare like rose up to like the royal court by like making plays, pretty much like licking the boots of whoever was in the gobierno at the time, right? Um so yeah, he died as a writer. He died as a playwright, who is a type of writer. So a couple of centuries pass, and then he is published. Like his works get compiled, they are put in books, they're copyrighted. A little bit weird, like it's a weird thing, but anyway, centuries after, then he's recognized as an author. So what does that tell you? He started being recognized as an author because the word of authorship, being an author brings power, right? It is the power to exercise language. Anything they say is true or, is studied pretty much. So that tells you too that there is power in being, considered an author and embracing that identity because again with this discussion most people like assume that people have to like give you fame. They have to recognize you, which, yes, it's a part of it, but you have to recognize yourself as an author. Okay, because everyone's an author. You have to embrace the power to exercise language. So that's the first of many instances of unlearning that we're going to be doing in this class. Okay, so what does it have to do with RWS 1301? Well, again, the purpose here is for you to master the art of rhetoric. And the first thing to, writing more compelling arguments for, sharing information and knowledge more effectively is to change your conception of your sense of authorship. Okay. For the next 9 weeks, which is going to take the first 3 modules, we're going to be focusing on assignments that allow you to find your author's voice and deconstructing assumptions about writing. Because again, we're going to be doing a whole lot of unlearning because the education system at the secondary level is not the best. Okay. It has neglected the arts, specifically reading and writing, quite a lot. And not in the sense of like teachers are like neglecting this, it's the state neglecting it. Okay. And so you might have a lot of assumptions and misconceptions about writing and rhetoric. And I assure you that by the end of this course, those misconceptions are going to be gone. Those assumptions are also going to be done, and you're gonna have at least a thread to pull from in order for you to compose with your own voice. Okay, so that is the purpose of 1301. So yes, this is one instance of like things that don't make sense to you. um, this is for my face-to-face classes. Okay, so don't worry about that. The only thing that applies to you is, well, besides the specific day, right? Like this applies to you, yeah. Also, this applies to you. I want you guys to get the 2 books as soon as possible, and you're also gonna be reading these sections, okay? And this is important for the next PowerPoint. Okay, and yeah, first PowerPoint, you're not done. We have another one. Let me close this. Let me open the other one. Okay, here we are. So, who are you as an author? Okay, again, we continue our conversation here. Just for funsies, again, I'd say stop right here and try to jot down anything that comes to mind when it comes to this question. Is anyone who uses language an author? Yes or no? What do you think? Right? But after that, I want you to watch this video. Okay, it pretty much talks about the idea of the death of the author by Michel Foucault, who is a very important psychologist and scholar. And yeah, so he's pretty much saying, that after structuralism, like post-structuralism, which is a style in writing during the 1900s, like up until like the 1950s or 60s, I believe, people started to like have a different relationship to text. People before were like, well, this is in a book, therefore it's truth. Like they followed everything to the like the every single word, right? Which is why, for instance, many of your, like if you're Latino, and your parents like were in the education system during the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, they might have experienced, a very, very, strict way of reading. It's like, no, whatever the writer says, it's what they say. But after this idea by Michel Foucault, the relationship changed. Now, after you put something out there, after you write something, the piece is yours, but it also ceases to be yours, at least in terms of like when people read it. Okay, because when you read something, it's an exchange of information. Okay, whatever piece of writing that that you face, that you are presented with, you're gonna be experimenting it, like experiencing it. Sorry. And also like interpreting it in a unique way, because our background, linguistically speaking, culturally, socially, all of them like affect the way in which we view life, and therefore they also affect the way in which we interpret texts, right? Because again, it's an exchange of information. Okay, so why is this important to know? Because we're going into the dark ages pretty much when it comes to the arts and composition and cognition by, should I say their names, right? So pretty much we're going back into a structuralist, pretty much setting in which, multiplicity, which is something that this guy talks about, that Michel Foucault proposed. Multiplicity of writing is necessary. It's like at the forefront of anything, because governments and nations that are in the process of becoming tyrannical and scaling like day by day, this is the first thing that they tackled, the multiplicity of opinions, of perspectives, of experiences. um, and so this is something very important for you to do, because if there is no multiplicity, that's when erasure happens. Erasure is something that is historically very common in the United States, or really any countries that have a colonial background, which is most, in which stories have been erased completely, specifically, native people, like indigenous people, minorities. Yeah. And so that is like the power of language. It just goes so much beyond the classroom. Rhetoric goes way beyond the discussion board that you do for this classroom. It is a form of interpreting and to produce knowledge. Okay, so have people ever lost their multiplicity before? Yes. And we can like take this as an example. Okay, this is going to showcase first the different relationship that we might have from a piece of writing, as well as exposing the importance of the multiplicity in voice. And give me just 1 second. Okay, let me just well, actually no, we like there's not a lot left, but anyway, let us take a look at this. We can take a look at something like the first year compositions indigenous land acknowledgement, which was barely like passed and approved by UTEP's administration like 5 years ago, which crazy. So what is a land acknowledgement? It's pretty much like a piece of text that states that whatever institution or building or whatever, like wherever it's located, that it's located and built upon unceded indigenous land. Okay, so that's mostly what it is. So let us take a read at this. So as members of the University of Texas at El Paso community, we acknowledge that we are meeting on unceded indigenous land. We would like to recognize and pay our respects to the indigenous people with long ties to the immediate region: Dalipan, Mescalero, Enchiricawa, Apache, Piro, Manso, Suma, Yumano, Isleta del Sur Pueblo, Piro Mansotigua Indian tribe of the Pueblo of San Juan de Guadalupe, and Tortugas Pueblo. We also acknowledge the nations whose territories include present-day Texas, the Carrizo and Comecrudo, Miacán Garza Band, Caddo, Tonkawa, Comanche, Alabama Cushata, Kickapoo, and the peoples of Chihuahua and northern Mexico, from whom many of our students descend, such as the Rarámuri, Tepehuan, Wixárika, and Nahuatlaca peoples. Finally, we recognize all of the indigenous peoples and communities who have been or have become a part of these lands and territories here in the El Paso del Norte region. The University of Texas at El Paso honors your history and cultures, and we seek greater awareness of the myriad ways in which your legacy can guide us in fruitful partnerships and mutually fulfilling relationships. All right. What did we just read? You might be a little bit confused and a little bit shocked. First of all, by a university acknowledging that it's operating within unceded indigenous land. Then the shock might come by reading and listening to all these names, right? So let me ask you a question. What is the purpose of this? Right? Mentioning the names is very important. Like whenever you're like occupying a space that is not yours, it is very important to like be aware of that. It's extremely important to be aware of that. But then a question arises. If there's so many people here, why aren't we hearing from them? Right? Like, who wrote this? It was certainly not like a lot of people like from all of these groups like gathered together in order to inform this one. Probably that didn't happen, right? So what is an indigenous land acknowledgement? It's like a pat on the back. It's like that's the rhetoric that it transmits. Like we appreciate it, right? Because like representation and acknowledgement is extremely important. But this is an example of, lost multiplicity. A lot of these people, they got their lands taken away from them because, many indigenous groups, they don't record information and history like, the Western world does, right? Like during like the time of the conquista and colonialism, all of that, the systems that many indigenous groups like had were like mostly like storytelling, like passing on knowledge vocally, verbally, and not necessarily like in paper, right? Why is that? Well, because again, paper is it is good and writing systems are very good, but they're also extremely vulnerable. Okay, just like how you're like a group is vulnerable of being like erased if like they don't have a writing system, so is like keeping your entire collection of information and history in paper, because when people invade other nations or like there's a conflict, the first thing that they do is burn everything. What is paper? It's pure like fuel, pretty much. So again, multiplicity is extremely important because then we have to draft something like this, because there was a time in which all of these people were kicked out of their lands, right? And then centuries after, then they like the best that can be done is like recognize that yes, this is not our land. So what happened that time is what resulted, like what brought us into the creation of this acknowledgement. So again, multiplicity is important. We're going into a time that is becoming extremely tyrannical. Therefore, more and more multiplicity is going to be, I guess, pursued, like in the sense of like being like badly pursued, right? And so like again, it is a way of like us trying to like resist the obliteration, in this case, of indigenous histories, narratives, and knowledge systems. And these are truths that are hard to listen and sit in with. Yeah, like history is not pretty, guys. Like, we're not living in a time of peace. We've never had, like, that is only an illusion. Like, to put it into perspective, you guys, the like the movement, during the 60s with, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr., like, that happened like little over 60 years ago. Like, civil rights, yeah, like, it's a work in progress. Yeah, like, we're not like as advanced as we think we are, like, when you put it into words like that. Like, little over 60 years ago, there were still segregation, and we see remnants of that in the people, right? Like, people were still living in that generation, and some still survive. So, you know that's why this is an invitation for everyone, really, to, like, understand the place they inhabit a little bit more. Okay, understanding where you're standing, right, where you're inhabiting, changes your relationship and the respect that you have for the land and the people in it. And again, you might have had a different reaction when first listening to this, but again, because I have a different experience than you, you might have not caught onto that, right? So that is one example in which rhetoric, carries on the more you analyze it. Like, it goes so deep, so deep. But yeah, this is a reminder about, the importance of, diversity and fighting against oppression, and also, to remind us that, the suppressing of information and voices, like, constantly happens because, again, it is a threat of multiplicity. People on top don't like multiplicity because it's difficult to manage. So don't be a sheep, pretty much. So yeah, this is a little activity that I have if you want to do it, but I would recommend you do this one if that is what authorship, entails, which is like recognition of the land, of languages, of culture, of people. Then who are you as an author? I want you to take about 5 minutes, if you want, pause this video, and write, who are you as an author? Think about how your family, your culture and social background, your languages and your interests and accomplishments, how do they affect or inform the way in which you write? How does the author, gets created by all of these things? 5 minutes, pause. All right, come back here. Hopefully you did that. Okay, it's a very helpful activity, and we're gonna stop there. Okay, we're gonna be continuing this conversation regarding, the sense of authorship, its importance. And, mostly next week, we're going to be taking a look at why it's important to recognize and understand the place you inhabit, because there's very, very, like, direct connections between the place in which you compose and how you compose. Okay, so yeah, your first discussion assignment is due this Sunday by 11:59 p.m. Your first journal entry due on the same day by the same time. I am expecting you guys to buy the two books, the correct edition, which is 2025-2027, and third. And expect an announcement on Blackboard notifying you when week 2 is released. And yeah, ignore this. We don't meet in person. We never meet unless you want to, like, go to the office hours. So yeah. And finally, again, remember I mentioned always open this up. Here it is. It's our schedule for the week. We have a little key here, or legend. so that you recognize what books I'm talking about when you see the colors here, or where you can find like the readings. And again, like this applies to like my in person, like my face to face classes. So you do have to do like all the readings that are here. Just ignore the days, is what I'm saying. Okay, so open it up, do all of the readings, and then do all of the assignments. And that's what you have to do per week. Okay, perfect. So let me close this up and go back to what is this? Stop sharing? Yes. Let me go back here. Okay. All right. So that's it. That's the first video lecture. It was lengthier than usual. Usually, like I keep them like around an hour long. I'm assuming this is way more than an hour long. But hopefully, this was helpful for you, and it helps you like put a face to again the idea of the instructor. So I'm here for you guys. Anything that you need in terms of like feedback, or clarification on instructions, guidelines, or if you just want to chat, just go to my office hours or email me directly, and I will gladly respond to you and help you as best as I can. I am here for you guys. I hope you know that. And as long as you're putting in the effort in this class, you're going to be doing wonderfully. Again, this is not a difficult class. It really isn't. Um, what is difficult is being consistent, okay, because there's a lot of writing here, but the only way in which you become a or the only way in which you polish your writing abilities is by practicing. Okay, both the brain and your hands are muscles or composed by muscles, so you have to train them, otherwise they're gonna be rusty, they're not gonna be fast. Okay, if you don't keep yourself like cognitively stimulated, it is easier to like run into writer's block, or like not have ideas flourish better, or like not like even like it affects your flow what while writing or typing. So yeah, anyway, that's that. Hope you guys are having a wonderful first week. um and yeah, you guys will see my beautiful face next week. And again, if you have any questions, just email me. That's it. Bye bye. See you guys.